It's always interesting to think about the influence of moms throughout the history because of the way they trained and taught their children. Take the founder of Methodism, or one of the founders of Methodism, John Wesley, for example. Even after he graduated from Oxford, he was a priest in the Anglican Church. He still wrote to his mom, Susanna, seeking her advice on life, on ministry, and even on theology. Her influence, Susanna's influence, Charles Wesley's mom, is probably the reason we're called Methodists. John learned Scripture and personal discipline from his mother. Susanna was raised a strict Puritan. Her parents were strict Puritans. They applied the same principles and discipline to raising their family. Dr. John Newton puts it this way: her careful, ordered timetable, her regular time set apart for meditation and self-examination before God, her keeping of a spiritual journal, or day book, what some people call journals today, her observance of the strict Puritan Sabbath. These were all part of her method of life. To use the Puritans' key word, which was current long before John Wesley began his work, it is not too much to say that Wesley absorbed Puritan influence with his mother's milk. John Wesley heeded the words of Proverbs, which Barbara read this morning, and we listened to. Proverbs 1:8-9 says, "Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They will be a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck." You know, often it's not what we think are the big things, the big items in life, the big words or actions that have the most effect and influence on children. Often it's the little things that are forgotten by the mom that have the longest effect and have the most influence on children. Take this famous example from the American artist Benjamin West. He tells the story about how he became an artist. He says that one day his mom had to go out shopping, and so she left him to take care of his little sister. Well, what Benjamin West did was he got out all of his painting supplies, his paper and his paints and his brushes, and he began to paint a picture of his little sister. Well, it so happens that he made a huge mess all over the house while he was painting this picture of his little sister. And before he had time to even begin to clean it up, his mom came home. He was scared to death that she was going to be furious with him. But what happened next was a complete surprise. She picked up the painting of her daughter that he had done, and she said, "My, what a beautiful painting of your sister." She then kissed him on the cheek and walked away. West says with that kiss, he became a painter. It is the kiss of encouragement moms often see in their children what others cannot see or will not see. It's often the mother's love that supplies the encouragement when children are blinded by sinful rebellion or doubts. In the Broadway play and movie, A Raisin in the Sun, that starred Sidney Poitier many years ago, we find an unforgettable scene of a mother's wisdom and strength in the face of youthful unbelief and rebellion. One day, the mother in the movie was confronted by her daughter's growing disbelief. She cynically declared that there was nothing to the idea of a living God, that God did not exist, and that people could get along very well without God. Following this outburst, the mother, in her quiet beauty, in her spiritual integrity, she drew herself up in a deep, serious voice. She said, "Now you say after me, in my mother's house there is still God." There was a pause as the girl contemplated the situation, and finally she had the sudden realization of her mother's faith and what it had meant to their family down through the years. The daughter slowly said, "In my mother's house there is God." Mothers often display the courage and wisdom to confront us in our most offensive moments, to bring us back to reality, to bring us back to faith. On a much more humorous note, United Methodist pastor Bob Stamps loves to tell this story. It seems That one time his wife had to go out for a while and she left her kids at home, and the oldest one was watching some of the younger ones. Well, the oldest daughter took the youngest boy and she decided to cut his hair. And so she trimmed it all the way as short as she possibly could, and she got out shaving cream, and she covered his head with shaving cream, and she began to shave his head. Well, she was a little way through this process where her mom showed up. It was not only a little shocked, but a little displeased. She said, "What in the world are you trying to do?" Well, the little girl, detecting the situation and the sincere disbelief of her mom, said in a loud voice, "I was only trying to make him look like Dad." Of course, that is the lesson, one of the lessons we see in our scripture this morning. Jesus wants us to look like our Father in heaven. Jesus replied, as we read in scripture, "If anyone loves me, he will obey my teaching. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. He does not love me. He who does not love me will not obey my teaching. These words you hear are not my own. They belong to the Father who sent me." What would we look like spiritually if we reflected Jesus' teaching? What would we look like spiritually if we reflected our mom's teachings? Would they be the same or similar to what Jesus tried to teach us? I think most often probably would. Now, my mom, she died in 1990, which was some 28 years ago in March. And so, as I was thinking about Mother's Day, I was thinking about my mom, and I was thinking about some of the best things I remember about my mom. You know, it's good, whether our moms are living or gone, to remember the things that we like best about our mom, to remember those good times we shared with our parents. And so I was going to tell you some of the things I like best about my mom. Maybe it will be some of the things you like best about your mom, or if nothing else, maybe it will cause us all to think and reflect a little bit about our moms. So first, one of the things I like most about my mom was she had a big smile. She never met a stranger. She loved everybody. She was much more at home with the down and outs than with the well-to-do social climate. She always told us, never say anything bad about anybody. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But the amazing thing about that was she lived it. She never said anything bad about anyone. She could make a scoundrel or the town drunk sound like an outstanding citizen. She loved young people. She loved young people no matter where, all the time. She loved Boy Scouts. She loved Teen Town. She loved Vacation Bible School. She loved all of our friends as we were growing up. She loved young people. She taught the first kindergarten in Lindsay, which wasn't at school. The next year it went to school. I remember when they all graduated from high school, she was running around finding presents for them, and she couldn't believe that ones that she called her babies, which were her kindergarten class, were graduating from high school. She always helped people in need, no matter where she was. We lived out in the country, and there was a highway that passed through the middle of our property. And oftentimes people would run out of gas there, the cars would break down, they'd just be hitchhiking through there. And she was willing to help anyone or anybody and everyone who needed it. If they ran out of gas, we would take them gas. If they had a flat tire, we'd help fix it. If they needed to be taken to town, we would take them to town. And of course, lots of times people would offer us, or offer my mom money. In return, she would never accept money. She said, if you truly want to say thank you, pass it on to somebody else. Do something good today for somebody else. It was such a part of her lifestyle. On her tombstone, you know, we often put a saying about our parents or our loved ones on the tombstone. Well, my mom's tombstone says, do a good turn daily. Let me close with two final stories this morning about the encouragement of a grandmother and the challenge of a mother's example. There's a women's group. It's an African American women's singing group, and they're called Sweet Honey in the Rock. They have a song, and it's titled, No Mirrors in My Nana's House. One of the group's singers emphasizes emphasizes the story behind this song. It seems that one of her friends was telling her about growing up in a very poor neighborhood. She grew up in her mother's house, and she's in her grandmother's house, and she said to this friend, in Nana's house, there were no mirrors. Well, this girl in the group asked her, she said, well, how did you know how you looked? She said, well, I would get up in the morning, and my Nana would tell me. I would get up in the morning, I'd get dressed, I'd comb my hair, then I would go in and see Nana, and I would say to her, how do I look? And Nana would say, she would tell her that you are beautiful, your skin was smooth and golden brown, kissed by the sun. And she said, your eyes shine like the silver moonbeams. In Nana's house, there were no mirrors. So I saw myself through my Nana's eyes, who loved me, and the beauty of everything was in her eyes. A wonderful gift to give to a child. When you say, well, here's the song, we're going to listen to it. It just takes a couple minutes. There are no mirrors in my Nana's house. Finally, we come to a story from Pastor Walton Rangren. He tells how his mother helped him find God when he was a confused young boy. It seems that he went to his church with his mom all the time, and he began to notice how in church everybody could see Jesus. His mother took him to church. He noticed the peace on their faces. He noticed that they radiated with love. And he wanted to meet this Jesus they talked about all the time, but it seems that little Walter couldn't seem to find Jesus in the church. So he began a quest to look to see if he could find Jesus. And so what he would do is he would sneak away from his mom and look around in the church. He went all over the church. He went to all the Sunday school rooms, but he couldn't find Jesus in there. He went to the pastor's study and snuck in there at his office, and he couldn't find Jesus standing in there. He went to the church, and he snuck behind the lectern, and he looked for Jesus where the preacher does his prayers, but he did not find Jesus there. He even crawled underneath all the pews looking for Jesus. He couldn't find him there either. Finally, he thought about it for a little while. He thought the most foreboding place in the whole church, a place that he had never been and never dreamed of going, the ladies' restroom. So while church was going on and his mom wasn't paying attention, he snuck out and he went to the ladies' restroom and he looked at all the stalls, he looked around the restroom, but he couldn't find Jesus in the ladies' restroom either. He returned to the sanctuary just in time to go forward with his mom during Holy Communion. Now he says, ordinarily when he was a young boy, he paid little attention during the sacred ritual of Holy Communion. But this time he noticed something different about mom. He noticed how peaceful and happy she was on this occasion. He noticed how peaceful and happy and joyfully she received the bread and the drink from the cup. He led me into her, sensing that she had the answer to his question. He said, "Mom, what is that?" Of course, she tries to shoo him away in the middle of communion as they're kneeling at the rail, but he will have none of it. He says, "Mom, what is that smell?" She finally said, "Oh, son, that is Jesus. It is Jesus inside of me." Little Walter understood a tiny piece of the mystery he had been looking for, the quest he had been on. He found Jesus living inside of his mom. Many of us wouldn't have found Jesus in our lives at all if it hadn't been for people in our lives, our moms, our dads, our grandparents, maybe an adult in our lives who showed us Jesus Christ. That's normally how it happens, isn't it? We come to Jesus Christ through the example and the care of others. Each week, we watch as the light of Christ is brought in and we light the candles on the communion table. That is to remind us of Jesus Christ. That is the light of Christ coming into the church to remind us of His presence with us. And then the light is come forward and the light is brought outside. And we're to remember as we follow the light of Christ out into the community that we are the light of Christ in our community. We are to be the light of Christ. We're to live lives in such a way that it draws people to Jesus Christ. So the question for each of us this morning, could a child sense Jesus in our lives? Could a young person find faith through our witness? We can help them by being the light of Christ. Wherever we go in the world, we can be a helper by being Christ with everyone who needs. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.